We are in the most dominant era of grappling in UFC history, and it's not even close. No era previously comes close to the level of wrestling and grappling that these guys at the top of the game at UFC possess. Now, to be a champion in today's game, you do need elite grappling as part of your tool sets, and or at the bare minimum, have an elite takedown defense and ability to handle yourself on the ground in jiu-jitsu exchanges at the bare minimum. So today I'll be talking about the top 10 best grapplers in the UFC. These are the elite of the elites, and they all possess their own superpowers in terms of how they implement their ground game, whether that's jiu-jitsu, whether that's pure wrestling, whether that's judo, sambo. The best of the best guys are able to implement all these different practices into their game. Now, we can go straight into our top 10 list. At number 10, I have to put the Scouser, Paddy Pimblett. Now, before you click out of this video and unsubscribe, because some of you think to believe that Paddy Pimblett doesn't belong anywhere near an elite grappling list, you guys still haven't given Paddy Pimblett the respects. I mean, he does have 11 submissions in his professional record, and I think 4 of them happen to be in the UFC. He is an expert at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and to this day, people still don't give him respect. I don't know. Maybe it's because he has a funny accent. Maybe it's because I don't know. You guys don't like his hair, his blonde hair. I don't know what it is, but we have to start putting respect on Paddy Pimblett's name. I mean, the way he submitted BSD this year, it's probably going to be the submission of the year. You could probably put that in, guaranteed as submission of the year. I mean, it's just the creativity of Paddy Pimblett, because any mistake his opponents make, Bobby Green shot in for a takedown. And then what happens? 10 seconds later, he's laying flat on his back because Paddy Pimblett is able to find those submissions in a very, very creative. He's one of the most creative jiu-jitsu artists we have in the game. And it proves true that for Paddy Pimblett, he doesn't need to win the wrestling exchanges to win the grappling exchanges. I mean, he will allow himself to get taken down. Like Ken Green and then BSD, they thought that they are just going to be able to shoot on Paddy Pimblett, and that Paddy Pimblett wasn't going to make them pay for it. I mean, if you don't have an elite jiu-jitsu game, you do not want to be anywhere near the ground with Paddy Pimblett because his creativity is just out of this world, and he'll make you submit really quick. Now, I put him at number 10, not anywhere higher, because he tends to not be an offensive grappler. He tends to punish his opponents for the mistakes they make. So since he doesn't shoot for takedowns as often, I'll have him at number 10, but very elite. Now, moving on to number 9, Umar Nurmagomedov. Obviously, we knew we were going to have some Dagestanis on this list. Now, a lot of you probably expected Umar to be a lot higher, maybe in the top 5. I don't know. A lot of you tend to think that just because you're from Dagestan, just because you're from Russia, that you're automatically the best grappler and wrestler in MMA. We're talking about effective grappling here. The ability to, finish a fight, or the ability to implement damage and have some effective win points based on your wrestling. Now, Umar does that, but not at the highest level. But what Umar does have is, one of the highest levels of technique when it comes to grappling, wrestling. I mean, it starts off with just a Dagestani style of wrestling. I mean, that chain wrestling, it just all flows well together. His ability to go from single leg to double leg, and then plan out his next attack, and able to, go for the back take. The back take is elite, and I think the escapes that his opponents try to make in those exchanges, it creates for an opportunity for Umar, to go for the back take, and the escape really is what creates the best positions for Umar Nurmagomedov. And then, as well with that is, being from Dagestan and having a sambo background, I mean, those trips in those clinch exchanges, those trips when they're transitioning, is very unpredictable, and Umar is going to be a tough puzzle to solve in terms of the wrestling game for his opponent. So that's why I put him at number 9 and not anywhere higher, because Umar Nurmagomedov still hasn't been able to be, able to use his grappling and wrestling dominantly at the highest level. He's still young, so he's still got his way to work up. But I'll leave it at number 9. I think that's a very, very, very fair position for Umar. Now, moving on up to number 8, the guy that beat Umar, Merab Dvalishvili, and I had to put Merab Dvalishvili here. You can't be, the all-time leader in UFC takedowns and not be on the top 10 grapplers or wrestlers list. That just wouldn't make sense. Now, you could argue Merab doesn't do a ton of damage once he takes you to the ground. You could argue that Merab doesn't have elite top control, that his opponents tend to get up pretty fast from his takedowns. But it is just the sheer pace that this guy implements his wrestling and his grappling. It's just the sheer pace. I mean, his real weapon is not just a takedown, it's the next takedown. That's his real weapon. Once his opponents work themselves out of a takedown, everything that's going on in their head is like, I got to stop the next takedown. And that creates a real problem for their rhythm and for them to implement their offense. Now, Merab, in his fight with Umar, he took Umar down 7 times. He took a Dagestani down 7 times. I don't care that Umar was tired. I don't care whatever he broke his hand in the first round. That is the ability that you must possess to take down a Dagestani fighter 7 times in a fight. He had to be on this list. And not to mention the fight he had against Henry Cejudo. We all know Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist for wrestling. And in that fight, Merab Dvalishvili was able to get those takedowns, and Cejudo able to lift him up and drag him across the octagon. And, these moments have to count for something. We're not going to just ignore this. Merab Dvalishvili is a top 10 grappler in the UFC, and his performances have proved that at the highest level. Now, moving on up to the top 7. Now, this is where effective grappling takes into place. These guys at the higher level, the top 7 level, these guys are able to use their grappling very, very effectively. And they're able to win fights purely just based off their grappling. So at number 7, I have Sean Brady, who is a master of top control. I mean, a lot of Sean Brady's opponents have equated him to be like a human blanket. When he gets on top, it's very, very exhausting to be at the bottom of Sean Brady, and for Sean Brady to get that top control. I mean, you saw that against Leon Edwards. I mean, Leon Edwards tapped out and got submitted by Brady just purely based on how exhausted Leon Edwards was from fighting at the bottom. I mean, Leon Edwards was ready to quit just spending 3 rounds with Sean Brady easily being able to get top control. And the dominant performance he just had against Joaquin Buckley, where Joaquin Buckley exhausted himself trying to get up from these takedowns. And you even saw it, one of the things that Sean Brady does very well is that he sticks to your body in transitions of takedowns. There is no separation after a takedown. He lands with you as he's taking you down. And that causes damage, obviously, with the slams, but also it just exhausts his opponents. He had to be in here. I mean, the way he dominated Gilbert Burns in the jiu-jitsu exchanges. I mean, if there's one thing that Gilbert Burns is respected for, it's his jiu-jitsu. And for Sean Brady to, outmaster Gilbert Burns in his jiu-jitsu game, that tells you how high level Sean Brady is in grappling. I mean, guys like Khamzat Chimaev didn't want to go anywhere near the ground with Gilbert Burns, and Sean Brady just welcomed it. Sean Brady wanted to be in deep waters with Gilbert Burns. And yeah, I have Sean Brady number 7. And now moving on to the top 6. Now this is where things get dangerous because these are some of the best grapplers in UFC history. At number 6, I have Alexandre Pantoja. And a lot of you probably expected Pantoja to be, closer in the top 3, top 2. And, I can respect that. It's just the sheer volume of elite grapplers in today's game. You have to leave someone at the top 5. But Alexandre Pantoja, he is the best back taker in UFC when it comes to grappling. I mean, the way he transitions in exchanges, in grappling exchanges, and wrestling exchanges, even level changes while you're in striking exchanges with Alexandre Pantoja. I mean, the way he has an ability to take your back is, I think, the best we've ever seen in the game. And, you can still, stop a takedown from Pantoja and in some way end up with Pantoja on your back. I mean, he is just a snake when it comes to getting around your body and being able to find those positions. I mean, his back take is phenomenal, and it just follows through, and it starts with the relentless pressure that he applies from the moment the bell rings. And you have to put Alexandre Pantoja here. He's going to be a real problem for Joshua Van in their rematch. So I'm really interested to see how he's able to implement his elite jiu-jitsu game. And I'm looking forward to that. Number 5. Now we're getting into them boys. These are the elite of the elite grapplers in the UFC. Number 5. We all know Charles Oliveira had to be here. I mean, Charles Oliveira had to make the list because he holds the record. Number 1. He holds the record for submissions, victories in the UFC. He has 17 submissions in the UFC. And these submissions don't just come by rear naked choke, all 7. These are very, very creative submissions. I mean, this is, neck submissions, arm submissions, and even legs. I mean, he is so creative when it comes to his submission game. He has a deep, deep, deep submission game. And it all starts with, how he attacks during transitions. I mean, a guillotine while you're shooting in for a takedown, an anaconda when you're trying to separate from a clinch exchange. I mean, he has submitted guys like Gamrot, who we all know Gamrot has a very, very strong ground game. And this guy even scares wrestlers into getting on the ground with him. I mean, if you're losing any type of positions with Charles Oliveira, he has the ability to make you pay, and the fight could be over at any second. We saw that in his championship run. I mean, Gaethje lost the position, tried to scramble out, and next thing you know, he's passed out on the ground. And yeah, I mean, Charles Oliveira is a legend. Honestly, at his peak, he could be a lot higher on this list, but there's a lot of guys that moved right up. So let's get right into it to number 4. The guy that defeated Charles Oliveira, we have to put Arman Tsarukyan in this list. And we have to put him in this list for a couple of reasons, mainly being, just how much of an athlete he is in terms of the scrambling exchanges. I mean, nobody is harder to out-grapple just based on their athletic ability compared to Arman. I mean, he is able to, first, his defensive grappling is amazing. Defensively, he's able to survive all these submissions. I mean, we saw that in the fight against Oliveira. He is very, very, very hard to dominate in the wrestling exchanges, even against the best wrestlers, even against Oliveira, even against Islam. He has an elite takedown defense. And right now, also adding his own submissions to the game. I mean, the way he submitted Dan Hooker in one of the best submissions we've seen last year. I think that Arman Tsarukyan belongs here just based on how hard it is for other wrestlers to out-grapple him. I mean, just the sheer athlete that he is makes him, has earned his spot in the top 10. Now, we got to go to the top 3. I mean, by now you should probably have an idea of what type of guys are going to be in the top 3. I can give you a clue. Just think of Caucasus Mountain regions. Just think of that for a second. Number 3, Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, he has to be here just based on the sheer dominance of a run he's been in the UFC in terms of implementing his takedowns and implementing his wrestling relentlessly from the jump, from the bell. He's known for, as soon as the bell rings round 1, shooting straight for a takedown. No filling out process. He might, fake a glove touch or something, but he's going straight to the takedowns because he knows that his wrestling is not something you can compete with, especially early on. Now, once he's tired, yes, we know his wrestling declines a bit, but fresh on, there's nobody that can beat Khamzat Chimaev in a wrestling match. And he just forces his game, forces his takedowns through pure speed and explosiveness. I mean, we haven't seen an athlete like this at middleweight in a very, very long time. I mean, his fight against Dricus du Plessis. I mean, Dricus du Plessis was not able to defend any takedowns over a 5-round period. I mean, there was 12 takedowns landed over a 5-round period against an elite champion at that point. So, Dricus isn't no slouch on the ground, and Khamzat Chimaev made him look like a rookie. And the way he submitted Robert Whittaker in 3 minutes. I mean, this guy went on a run of beating your positioning and overwhelming you with his physical resistance, and that's why I have him at number 3. But there are 2 guys. Surprisingly, there's 2 more guys who have a better grappling and wrestling game in MMA, even higher than Khamzat, in my opinion. Now, number 2. We have to put some respect on this guy's name because I don't hear a ton of chatter about him, and it's Yaroslav Amosov. I know he just came from Bellator, so he hasn't earned his stripes yet, but we have to respect the fact that this guy is a 4-time combat sambo world champion. I mean, combat sambo is regarded as one of the highest levels of combat sports in the world. And for you to be a 4-time world champion and then be able to transition into the UFC and have a dominant run where you're able to implement your wrestling and grappling skills, I mean, just the sheer versatility that Amosov comes with. I mean, he has takedown arsenal coming from everywhere. I mean, this guy puts it all together. I mean, the grappling, the wrestling, the sambo. I mean, the run he's been on in the UFC, I know he's only 2-0, but being able to submit Neil Magny the way he did, being able to submit Alvarez the way he did, and doing it in such a quick fashion and a very dominant fashion, just shows you that this guy is one of the highest level wrestlers in the game today. And not to mention, he does have a wrestling footage out there with Khamzat Chimaev, and what we saw from that footage is Amosov getting the better of these wrestling exchanges. So that just shows you the level of grappling and the level of wrestling that Amosov possesses. I think that if he fought the champion at welterweight, if he fought Islam Makhachev, he's going to present some real problems when it comes to the wrestling exchanges, and I 1,000% believe that. Now, with that being said, we can move on to number 1, And we all know who number one is. It's the welterweight champion of the UFC, Islam Makhachev. I mean, I'll be a fool to not put this guy number one. I mean, he's earned that spot as the best, as a pound for pound best fighter in the world. And I think Islam, the great thing about Islam is that he has just pieced together every phase of MMA grappling and connected it together. And he has now evolved to be the best grappler we've ever seen. And it just starts with his ability to control you as an opponent. I mean, he controls parts of your body in these wrestling exchanges. I mean, isolating the wrist, I mean the ankle, the hip, and destabilizing your base, and that's where it all trickles down from. And then you mix that in with Islam Makhachev having the best takedown defense we've ever seen. I mean, this guy, Islam Makhachev, you will never see him get taken down in the UFC. As long as I live, as long as I watch the UFC, I guarantee you I will never see Islam Makhachev being taken down. And one thing that gave Islam a lot of respect was when he submitted Charles Oliveira. I mean, nobody expected Charles Oliveira to get submitted by Islam in that fight because Oliveira was regarded as the greatest submission artist ever, and he went on like an 8-year run of being undefeated and being very dominant. When he submitted Charles Oliveira, I think that's when he put himself on the map. Yes, he was a world champion at that point, but it's the fact that he submitted Charles Oliveira, who is already in the top 5 list here, and Oliveira being the greatest submission artist of all time. The fact that Islam Makhachev, as a sambo combat artist, as a wrestler, was able to go in the jiu-jitsu game with Charles Oliveira and submit him, I think that took him to another level. Now, obviously, a lot of people compare Islam to Khabib. Now, Khabib's grappling was overwhelming to his opponents. That was the key. It was overwhelming. But Islam's takedowns and Islam's wrestling is very inevitable. I mean, it's inevitable that Islam Makhachev is going to get you to the ground. And it's also inevitable that you will not be able to take Islam down. And that's what it all comes down to. But yeah, we are in the most dominant grappling era in the UFC, and in my opinion, these are the top 10 grapplers. I would love to hear if I missed anybody, if anybody's in the wrong spot. So drop your list in the comments below and subscribe for more UFC breakdowns. Until next time, I'm out.